Yeah, so if you're like me, you've had to smile all week. I mean, Buccaneer fans, Tampa Bay sports fans, just, NFL fans in general, just talking about one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. And the Buccaneers keep the Chiefs to 9 points. They keep Patrick Mahomes and that high-powered Andy Reid's Chiefs offense out of the end zone. And we talked about it going into the game over the last couple of weeks. We talk about that bend but don't break defense. And there's so many things we can talk about today. Todd Bowles remains your defensive coordinator, and Byron Leftwich growing into his own as the offensive coordinator now. Another season to work with Tom Brady and continue to get that momentum down. We've got some free agents to talk about today. We've got some superstars. We've got some MVPs from last week's game. We've got some most valuable plays, not just most valuable players. But welcome, guys, to a Saturday morning edition of Cup of Ray. And, I haven't been able to have a chance to get on since last Sunday, and we had such a great day. But, you talk about that game and so many things that just occurred. Just one of the things that stands out, Leonard Fournette now in one season, in one postseason, just 4 games, Leonard Fournette becomes the second leading rusher in Tampa Bay playoff history with 400, I think it's 458 yards. But basically, he's number 2 to Mike Allstott, who played in 10 postseason games, and the A train just goes over just the half-century mark. But some of the things that happened last week's game, talk about the Buccaneers defense again being able to shut them down. Some of the key plays, some of those, the defensive backs in that secondary, Tyreek Hill back when the Bucs played the Chiefs earlier, I believe it was week 10, and Tyreek Hill scorches them in that first quarter for 200 yards. And, he makes the infamous goes to the sideline and makes the call. They need help. Going again back to Shannon Sharp back in the day when he did that, and one of those famous old NFL memes, if you will. I guess you'd call them memes. It's just one of those old school NFL type films. But that Buccaneers defense last week, that Todd Bowles, and people talked about it this week, and a lot of people alluded to this, is that if MVP just stood for most valuable person and not most valuable player, Todd Bowles probably picks up that trophy. But of course, it goes to Tom Brady, and well-deservedly so, in leading this team to a Super Bowl victory. And, just a great game they had last week. The first home team to play a home Super Bowl in their own stadium. There's so many highlights from last week. I'm going to get these comments up here because hopefully you guys have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got some great guests for you today. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about maybe J.J. Watt. We're going to talk about Buccaneers players who are now unrestricted free agents, and what Jason Light might have cooking as far as trying to bring that whole game. You listen to Bruce Arians at the boat parade the other day, and I want to talk about that boat parade the other day because, nobody really gave him too much grief, but a little bit was made about Tom getting off the boat there and didn't quite have his sea legs. But you know what, Tom? Congratulations. Welcome to breaking your Florida boat, Cherry. If you have not gone on, and people come down on vacation, but even those of us that have lived here forever, if you've never gone on a boat in the daytime and gotten off of a boat after having a couple of drinks and you did not have trouble with your sea legs, or you had a little bit of a wobble as you walked off the boat, then you're just not doing it right. I mean, it's what everybody does. Of course, we do it safely. You have a designated boater or designated driver on that boat, but especially if you're Tom Brady and you're driving that and you're in that new $2 million boat that Tom's got, just love to hear that. Love to know that Tom's got that $2 million boat. So him and Giselle and the kids, and the kids were on the boat last Sunday, and Wednesday for that boat parade, but the fact that they're able to utilize and continue enjoying the Tampa Bay area, because not only do we're so fortunate and happy to have Tom Brady comes down here and leads this team to a Super Bowl, our first in 18 years, and a victory, so we get our second Lombardi trophy. But, Tampa Bay's always been known as a retirement community, and not so much so as it used to be. I mean, it used to be more, the median age used to maybe be 65.8 or something. It's gotten a lot younger because people have decided a lot earlier that you come down here and the quality of life improves, and they got a lot of things going on down here, and the weather's pretty nice year round. And if you're in a situation where you can afford to have a $2 million boat, now me, I have a $20 canoe, but if you're in a situation where you can afford to live that lifestyle, which only serves to make me believe that Tom Brady, not only does he's here for next year, signs that 2-year, $60 million contract, but Bruce Arians even talks about he would not be surprised if Jason Light and camp are already talking about an extension. Of course, it just depends on what Tom's got going on. But I think that one thing that was answered this year, one question that I love, one mic dropped, and the mic was literally dropped, was that no, Tom can still throw the long ball. And no, the game is not past Tom Brady. And no, at age 43, he leads this team to Super Bowl 55, picks up his MVP trophy. And I guess some people would say, had this offense discovered itself a little sooner in the year, as opposed to not having a preseason. And it took him a few games to literally even, and like Tom tells the story, coming off that first week, that first game against New Orleans Saints, he's coming off the field and he's not even sure where to sit. Right? I mean, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but the truth of the matter is it took 3 to 4 to 5 weeks for this team to even get to know each other. You give this team a preseason or more of a season, more of a working out, not just at Berkeley Prep where they were over there working on the plays and such, but a chance for this entire team to work together, then I believe that instead of it being Mr. Aaron Rodgers picking up that trophy for MVP, and just in the last 5 weeks of the play, the Buccaneers now have won 8 games in a row for the first time in franchise history. I believe if it started earlier in the season, and Tom Brady makes the case for that MVP trophy, and he's picking up that hardware as well. And what a great story on the same weekend that Peyton Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer, gets into the Hall of Fame. And we go back to the competitions between Brady and Manning, and the fact that both shared Clyde Christensen. Clyde Christensen, of course, he's the quarterback coach with your Buccaneers, and he was the quarterback coach in Indianapolis with Peyton Manning. And he tells the story about how Peyton would go and spend time with Tom Brady, and how the two of them sat on a porch somewhere in Tennessee throwing a fishing rod and probably tossing a couple of beers back and talking to each other about it. And then when Tom Brady comes in here in March and signs with the Buccaneers, he comes in and he finds out that Clyde Christensen's already got a book on him this thick, which any good quarterbacks coach is going to break down all the quarterbacks across the league, probably not only because you don't know if you're going to work with one of those quarterbacks, but because of that special relationship and that mutual respect that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning had for each other. Clyde Christensen picked Peyton Manning's brain when he went and spent that time with Tom Brady, and how it comes to full circle. And you guys know how I always like to work it back, full circle. Everything's circular, and it comes back to Clyde Christensen working as Tom Brady. And of course, some people would say, Tom Brady needs a quarterback coach. Well, Clyde Christensen's a good guy. So anyway, let me get to a couple of comments before I get my first guest in here. Glenn Moore says, boom. Definitely, Glenn. Boom. Boom on Super Bowl 55 victors, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Misador says, this just in, KC is still looking for a way to score a touchdown. Yeah, because as ironic as it enough, and I know you guys have all seen the meme, the KC plane when it landed at TIA, that's the only touchdown those Chiefs had last week here in Tampa Bay, and we love it. Eli says, let's go Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and keep on going, right? Definitely keep on going. Let's get the gang back together. We're going to see how much that gang we can get back together with the unrestricted free agents. And of course, we had a lot of veterans on 1-year deals. And that was one of the things I liked about this team, is that we weren't cash strapped. We weren't at the edge of a window, and the Rams make that big move to pull Matt Stafford out there, and McVay brings Matt Stafford out there, and they still have Aaron Donald, and they still have Jalen Ramsey. They still have a nucleus of a team but the Rams window, that seems to be closing, or at least they're at the end of their window. Whereas with the Buccaneers, not only are we not anywhere near the end of our window, some would say, I would say that we're actually ahead of the game because our window really wasn't supposed to start until next year. We saw the window starting with Jameis Winston last year, of course, if it wasn't for all those darned interceptions, but we saw the 5,000 yards. We saw the Godwin and the Mike Evans in the Pro Bowl. We saw this team coming together. We saw Todd Bowles starting to put a defense. We saw a young secondary that wasn't yet ready as far as what they needed to do this year. But we saw a defense coming together. The Buccaneers window is just opening. So it's going to depend on what they can do with those unrestricted free agents. And maybe there's some other players out there in the NFL that want to come play here too. I hate to use the description, come and get a ring. I mean, let's be honest, though. The way this team is playing, the way this team is clicking, and the parts we have in the right places, and Tom Brady's still at quarterback, if you're a veteran out there and you've made your bones and you're looking to get that ring because, you know, you want to put a little bit of icing on that cake, Tampa Bay has to be in consideration for a place that you want to come play because nothing's guaranteed, guys. There's injuries, and there's 31 other teams that are trying to get that prize. So it's not like, you know, you show up on day one and it's guaranteed and we get to the postseason and you're going to be in a Super Bowl. It still takes a lot of work and hustle. You got to lean in and you got to get there. You got to show up. 2020, the Buccaneers did show up, and that's why they're going to be getting those Super Bowl rings. Andrew Fulbear says, Ray. Hey, Andrew, my Canadian friend. What's up, brother? Bucs Report says TB12 back at work today. Did you see this, right? There's already a post out there that Tom's already probably needed a day or two to get over the hangover. That tequila will do that to you. But, yeah, Tom's already over there. And fortunately, he's not locked out of the parks. In fact, at this point, I'm pretty sure Mayor Castor is probably going to name a park after Tom Brady and let him have access to that park 24/7. I mean, it is Tampa Bay, or is it Champa Bay? Let's see here. Bucs Report also says jump on via video by clicking here. Here's the link, guys. Come on in. Jump into my StreamYard. Come on. Just make sure you keep your camera steady. If you're using your cell phone, try to keep it steady. If you're on a PC or a laptop, use this StreamYard link right there. Copy and paste it into your browser. Hit it. It's going to ask you to share your microphone and your camera, and you're going to come right on here and talk with us. And one more comment here from Christopher Cole. Love Christopher Cole. Be great for number 8. Yes, definitely. So without further ado, let me bring my first guest on here because this guy and I need to talk. And we pretty much had a little pre-production meeting, and it went 7 ways to Sunday because there's all kinds of avenues we can go down. Coming on now on Cup of Ray is the professor, Mr. Johnny Dean. Johnny, how are you today?
How are you doing today, Ray?
Like I said, I've been smiling all week. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm smiling, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that victory last Sunday against those Chiefs.
I just love how you have the bar to yourself there, man.
You like that? Yeah, and they don't have anything locked. So, you know, every time Corey Brazelton, the manager here at the Studio Movie Grill, great people, great staff. And every time he goes away, you know, this is actually a Coke, but let's just say it's maybe a rum and Coke. No, it's just Coke.
Pirate rum, man.
Pirate rum.
You can do it.
Captain. You know, if you don't mind, real quick, I'll throw a shout out here to the Studio Movie Grill. They've opened here for a couple of years. And again, I mentioned this on a Saturday night Cup of Ray. You joined me a few weeks back, Johnny Dean. My oldest worked here. And you talk about great. You walk in here, you come in and you get your seat. You come here to see a great movie. They have got one of the most outstanding kitchens. And then for me, they also have some great 22-ounce high-lives. Not that I always partake, but when I do. But yeah, my daughter was working here. I'd come in here and get dinner and a beer after work, and I'd come here and just pester my daughter. But love coming in here. There's something great about coming in, getting a nice seat inside these beautiful theaters. They got a little red button you press right on your tray. You press that red button, a server comes right over to you. They're there at your beck and call. They bring you your food. And, you know, I'll be honest, at first I was like, how's this going to work? They are so good about getting in without, you know, they're not bothering people watching the movie. They get in with your food. There's just something about sitting down to watch a movie and getting served a steak burger and fries, and they got great fajitas and pizzas here, and they got all kinds of stuff. But so, Johnny, you and I were talking, and we didn't know where to start. So I'm just going to let you start. Where do you want to start today?
Well, the defense. That's a nice place to start, right?
It is.
It's always a nice place to start with your defense, man. These teams need to learn that.
Defenses win championships, and no matter how often we say it, It holds true, and it has held true forever and a day.
I do want to shout out, I can't say this enough. That run by Leonard Fournette where he trucked number 58, the linebacker.
Yes.
I mean, he trucked him into next year, man. He pulled a Conte on him, man.
Yeah, it was a 38-yard run, and that was a very important run because even though we look back and we say, 31-9, and we look back, but you're talking about key factors in the game. That run comes at a point where those KC Chiefs were still trying to get back in that game, and that just seemed to let some of the wind right out of their sails, didn't it?
Absolutely. I think when they stepped on the field and saw that we weren't playing, that took the wind out of their sails right there in the first quarter, man.
Did you hear what I opened with, that stat? The fact that in only 4 games, right, against the Washington football team, then we go against the Saints, then we go against the Packers, and of course in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs, Leonard Fournette is now the second leading rusher in Buccaneer playoff history.
I never had any doubt, man.
There's not a whole lot of playoff history to begin with, right? But, we've been to 4 championship games. I mean, so, we've been to, 4 championships, 2 Super Bowls. We've won 2 Lombardis. And you told me, and I'm going to go ahead and I love this because this is why you're the professor and why you and I go back and forth. You were watching what today before the show?
Oh, the 0-26 Bucs.
Right. We go back and watch those 0-26 Bucs, and the joke that was the beginning of this franchise back when teams, back then the franchise draft was the worst. Teams dumped all their injured players on us, and John McKay comes in here, Hall of Fame coach from USC, trying to put a team together. Of course, we win the coin flip, which was great. So the Seattle Seahawks, they get the first expansion draft pick, but then we get the first college draft pick, and of course we draft Leroy Selman, and the rest is history.
Right. I had forgotten that Steve Spurrier had played 8 years already in football as a backup to San Francisco, and they just, instead of cutting him, they gave him to the Bucs in a trade, and we traded for him, dude. We traded for Steve Spurrier.
And it was John Brody, I think, was the quarterback for the 49ers, I believe. I believe that's the gentleman's name. But yeah, Steve, and then Steve Spurrier came in here, and man, did he get brutalized. He got beat up.
Yeah, he did. But he had no business starting the game in the first place. He knew it. It was a disaster. And to think of where we've come in such a short time, in 3 years, like that one, that was a 3-year deal right there. Went from 0-26 to the NFC title game,
Yeah.
And I'm not going to poke fun at the Saints, but it took them 18 years. 18 years to get above 500.
Oh, you could poke fun at the Saints. I love that billboard. If it may have been taken down now, but wasn't there a billboard someone took out there in New Orleans this week that had Tom Brady with the Super Bowl trophy, and it basically said, "Who dat?"
We dat. He said, "We dat."
Oh, we dat, right?
We dat. Yeah, I can't believe they did that, man. That was hilarious.
Johnny, one of the most perplexing and satisfying things for 2020, because you and I know, and you've set me straight on this, and I buy it every day of the week, is the fact that teams generally have a building plan. You start out, of course, Jason Light's been making some great draft picks for the last several years, 7 years to go back to Mike Evans, and we had an Roberto Aguayo in there. I mean, they're not all home runs, but your team goes on a 2 to 3 to 4 year build, and you're working toward it. You get to the playoffs, and then you and I even said this year we're hoping for that get to the playoffs, maybe get that win in the playoffs, but this team just seems to, do not pass go, do not collect $200, and they drop right to 55 and pick up the Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. I have a lot of faith in this team and their choices and their decisions right now. That brings me to J.J. Watt.
Talk to me about J.J. Watt.
I've been seeing a lot of posts where people aren't wanting J.J. Watt on this team. They say he's washed up. He's too old. He's not old. He played in the league the same amount of time as Levante David, or 1 year more than Levante David. Okay,
right.
He's not old. He's not washed up. 2 years ago, he had 16 sacks. Okay.
Yes, sir.
He didn't have as great a production year last year, but then look at the line that was standing beside him last year. He had nobody.
Yes, sir.
And as a matter of fact, in the year he got 2 years ago, he didn't have anybody. So he hasn't really had anybody since they had them great linebackers behind him. You know,
And if you talk to me about players not wanting to come in here because they're injured, I go back to 3 years ago when Gronkowski was having liquid drained off of his elbow 3 times a week and twice on Sundays, and that guy was wearing a RoboCast. And I mean, poor kid. Gronkowski and Kelsey are the same age. Kelsey seems to be like he's never had an injury going into his prime, and of course we see Rob Gronkowski has just a beautiful, outstanding year this year. He also says he wants to play and would like to stay a Buccaneer. But if you're going to talk about players just not coming in here just based on historical injuries and stuff, and we've seen JJ's been carrying that team on his back for the last 5 seasons. So if anything, the injuries he's had is basically because maybe he's been trying a little too much at times because he is all heart.
absolutely. Let me give you a couple stats here, man. He had
Please.
5 sacks last year. Okay.
Right.
He had 36 solo tackles. He had 16 assists. He had 14 tackles for loss. He had 17 quarterback hits. He had a fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles, and 7 passes defensed. Okay, that's great stats for his position.
Oh, that's great.
A lot of people seem to think that he plays Shaq Barrett's position. He does not play Shaq Barrett's position. He plays the same position as Sue does.
Right.
Okay, he's a defensive tackle. He moves around just like Sue does.
Right.
So if I'm not saying that J.J. Watt's coming here, I mean, no. I think we've got a great chance of getting him if he's out looking for a title and he's tired of just playing on a losing team, gathering stats. He's made his money. He would remember when he was the highest paid defensive tackle in the league.
Oh yeah, and
that wasn't too long ago. He's still got money, man.
And teams still have to account for him on every play, even with the injuries, even when he was going in the last 2 seasons.
He is the only person on the Texans people game plan for, and guess what? He still gets his.
Well, and here's the thing, Johnny. There's going to have to be some tough decisions. There always is. And here's the thing with the Buccaneers. Usually a team has the success, they win 55, and other teams just, even if players are just because they have talent, and these Buccaneer players, especially our unrestricted free agents, are Shaq Barrett's, are Chris Godwin's. These players have talent, but other teams also want some of that Super Bowl magic. They want a player that comes from a winning program because they know that they're going to carry some of that. Some of that's hopefully going to rub off on the rest of that team. Now, I'm not putting Ndamukong Suh down. I like this guy, and he's doing great. He has twins due next month. Best of luck to him and that beautiful wife of his. He's got a lot in his plate. No one even knows for sure if Suh even plays again next year. Here's a guy that might move to the booth at some point, but that might be a really hard decision for Jason Licht. He might say, look, we love Ndamukong. He's been a team guy, but we can maybe get J.J. Watt for the same amount of money with all the heart. And, JJ's playing for that ring. Now, Sue's already got 2 rings now. No offense to him, but no, did he get a ring with Los Angeles? Did the ring?
No.
But he's got the ring now with the Bucs. I hate to say that I'm not saying I would drop Suh automatically to pick up a JJ Watt, but at the end of the day, if money's equal, or even if Watt's willing to play for a little bit less, that might be a real tough decision for Jason Licht to have to make.
Absolutely, but I don't see it coming to that. Either Suh will stay or he'll retire. I don't know if they're going to look for a replacement for Suh right now. And like I said, the J.J. Watt thing is that's just out there right now. I mean, he's available. He's a free agent. Anybody can pick him up right now if he wants to go there. There's still Pittsburgh. That's where both his brothers play.
Yeah.
But then again, Pittsburgh's got some cap issues too right at the moment. So,
well, not only that, but if he's looking for a ring, and this is no offense to Pittsburgh because somehow they're always there at the end of the season, right? And the job that Mike Tomlin's done for the last decade. But if you're looking for, if a ring is, playing with your brothers would obviously be just phenomenal. But if a ring is what you're looking for, having to go through KC and Buffalo and some of those other rising teams in the AFC.
You ain't got to talk about KC or Buffalo. You just look within the division, man. The Ravens, the Browns.
Yes, sir.
Maybe the Bengals if Joe Burrow's around. I mean, the Bengals, who knows what they're going to do. But You still got Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore to worry about. And Baltimore, they've reorganized their staff, and it looks to me like they're going to have a coach, passing coach on Jackson. So that can mean a lot, man. It can mean a lot, or it can mean very little. Who knows? But that's still a tough team. It's still a very tough team. They swept Pittsburgh last year, I believe.
And even Herbert out and with the Chargers, and I mean, and even I don't know if the Raiders are ever going to get their act together, but no, I mean, so yeah, even within their own division. So it's, I mean, would playing with his brothers be phenomenal? Probably. I mean, that would probably be. It maybe there's two things. If JJ wants a ring or he wants to play with his brothers, that would be phenomenal to play with his brothers. But if he wants a ring, Pittsburgh wouldn't be the place to go. I don't think to go to the AFC.
Yeah, I don't believe so either, and I believe he does want to get a ring. I mean, that's he knows his time's short. He's probably got 3 more years left of good football, and he wants to make sure he gets that ring and then goes and retires with the Texans.
Hey, Johnny, let me go ahead and hit a couple of these comments because I have another question for you real quick. Terrell Bright says, world champs. And someone said this week, world champions is dumb. It's Super Bowl. No, world champs. Because to me, honestly, call me a homer. The National Football League, the NFL, it is the number one sport for me in the world. There's soccer. There's followed by a billion people. I get it. There's all, but the NFL to me is the best sport in the world. So when your Buccaneers are Super Bowl 55 champions, I call them the world champions. I would like
to see that become a real world championship. I would like to see us go against the Canadian League and the Spanish League, the one in Spain, Madrid.
Remember, the World League of American Football, the World League of Football almost got their footing, almost took off back in the day enough that there may have been like
Dragons and that, yeah.
Germany was what the Frankfurt, I forget what the name of their team went, but they had a couple of, and I think there was an Irish team too, but the problem with them was they could never get up on Sundays because they were all hungover. I'm just kidding. I'm Irish. I can make that joke. Misador says Chris Conte just re-signed with the Bucs, 4 years, $16 million. Nah, I just want to remind you all how crappy the off seasons used to be.
Oh, and by the way, happy birthday to Jason Light.
Oh, Jason Light's birthday today. Happy birthday, Jason Light. Somewhere he's cradling that Lombardi trophy and he's holding the NFC or the Lamar Hunt was the AFC. The Rooney trophy was what the NFC team goes. Wasn't that one of the best pictures back when they won that NFC championship? And the picture of Jason Light sitting there holding the Rooney trophy, and it was just like,
like a baby.
Like a baby. And you know what? This team is his baby. Terrell Bright says, Misador, I was getting angry because he was talking about Chris Conte. Olga. Hey, hi, Olga. Oh, good morning, Olga. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Ray. Hi, Johnny, a.k.a. Professor. Great day to be a Buccaneers fan. Defense wins games. Olga knows. Hello, Johnny.
Olga. How you doing, dear?
Olga knows. Olga also says today is Light's birthday. So, yes, happy birthday again to Jason Light. Terrell Bright says he made some great picks, but definitely had some trash picks too. I'd like to think he's getting better. He finds Marpet. He takes Evans. We've got, and the jury's still out on O.J. Howard, Johnny. But what do you think about a healthy O.J. Howard coming back next year? There's going to be a logjam again at tight end. I mean, because Cam Brate really showed out. Gronk may want to come back. I'm not
getting rid of Cam Brate and keeping O.J. Howard. That's just not happening.
No, that ain't happening. And so O.J., I think, is coming into the 4th year of his contract. Definitely not going to pick up the option year on his contract there. Terrell Bright also says JPP 2. Yeah, no, but JPP signed for another year. But JPP had a great game last week. JPP was a monster, man. I'll tell you what.
JPP wants to fill up what's left of his fingers with rings, dude.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he's got 2. All he needs is what, 3 more?
He's got 3. He had 2 with the Giants, and now this.
Right. So we got to get one. Call it one for the thumb. Yeah. Andrew Fulbert says hockey or get the frick out. So Andrew, our Canadian friend, he's a hockey. Hockey's good. But, when you live in Florida, the only frozen water I see is in the drinks that I'm having back here.
And yet
And yet what?
The Stanley Cup lives in Florida.
And the Stanley Cup lives here. No, and I love the Lightning and I love hockey. I was making a point that, the Buccaneers being world champions, I have no trouble saying, oh, it's the Hallis Trophy. That's right. Thank you, me. I don't know why I was thinking it was Rooney, but yeah. So the Lamar Hunt Trophy goes to the AFC team, the OG there and the original Chiefs owner. And then the George Hallis Trophy is what goes to the NFC.
Actually, I didn't say anything because I had no clue what you were talking about when you were saying the Rooney Trophy. So I was just letting you go.
Hey Johnny, like usual, I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. So Phil Koza says we keeping Sue. Again,
that's a good question. We could talk about that for a while. I mean, I don't think Sue's coming back.
Right.
I really don't. But then again, he might get addicted to that Tom Brady style. Hey, we got this.
Yeah.
A lot of people could change their minds just because of Tom Brady right now.
Well, and here's the thing about Sue. He wasn't looking to leave football a couple of years ago when he came here as a free agent, but he started to kind of seem like he was starting to expand out into other things. And like I said, now
he was bounty hunting back then. He's just going to wherever he could go.
Yeah. And he's got twins on the way. And I'm not saying you can't have twins and still hustle. I mean, we've all, got to do our thing with kids, but he's got twins on. I believe his wife's name is, I want to say Kyla or Carola, but they've got twins on the way. They're due in March. And, he may just want to take some time off and be a dad. He may just want to enjoy his time. He's made his money. He may, or he may want to come back.
I think that's what's drawing this interest in J.J. Watt is because Sue is questionable as a return or not.
100%. Or we bring back Gerald McCoy. We can open up that can of worms. So Terrell Bright also says the JPP when you were talking about players with injuries. Oh, okay. So yeah, we were talking about the players with injuries and JPP with the injuries he's had and overcome. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew Faubert says football is top for sure. I knew you'd say that, Andrew. So Johnny, let's go ahead and jump right back into something else we were talking about. Buccaneers are pretty deep at wide receiver. Scotty Miller shows up. Mike Evans, of course, our Pro Bowl receiver from last year. Chris Godwin, Tyler Johnson, the rookie out of Minnesota. We seem to have a plethora, Leo word, of receivers on this team, but one of them is a free agent this year, and I don't know if we're going to be able to keep him or not.
I don't. I'm 75% sure. I actually feel more sure than that, but I'm 75% sure publicly that Chris Godwin is not going to be a Buccaneer next year. He doesn't seem. Watching his interviews, he says all the right things. He's politically correct,
right?
But he has not at once said that. Yeah, I'm coming back. He has not once said that. He's not jumped on that bandwagon where everybody's all excited about coming back. You can tell it in his body language.
Right.
And it really doesn't make any sense because right now, this time is his free agency period. After coming off his rookie contract, this is the time where he goes and makes his money. That's what he's supposed to do.
And even seeing his beautiful wife, she runs out in the field to celebrate the Super Bowl victory, and she jumps into his arms. It's such a great narrative. Of course, the second rounder from Penn State, just been a baller since he got here. Serious is a heart attack about everything, but this is the contract that he gets paid. And it's never been a question of would we want to keep him. It was never a question of did we want to keep Adam. And I'm not comparing him, but Adam Humphries 3 years ago, and we didn't want to lose that.
That is an excellent comparison. I mean, and compare him in last year. It's that time. It's them. They shined. They showed what they can do. And they're going to get paid. Somebody's going to go out there and give him a contract for a number one receiver. And he has played number one receiver when Evans has been out. And he's taken to those double teams and stuff and still was productive.
And we talked about a certain team that just about 3.5 hours northeast of here, they've got the first number one overall pick going after Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer likes those speedy receivers. And you talk about they've got some cap space there in Jacksonville. So if they're looking to try to, to give Trevor Lawrence some good weapons right off the bat, Chris Godwin might be one of those weapons that Jacksonville Jaguars look to bring in.
Well, think about Miami too than that.
Oh, Miami too.
Yeah, I think Miami might be getting a quarterback this year too.
I'm out. I'm out of the sweepstakes. I'm sorry, guys. I get it, Johnny, that, you got to do what you got to do. And nowadays it's so much more. And even back in the day, it was predicated upon selling tickets and putting butts in seats. But you just took Tua. You got all these draft picks. You got Flores.
Tua is not a start. He is not their starting quarterback. They found that out last year when they put him in during the season. And they can't run with a backup quarterback with Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is amazing as a backup quarterback. Right. Well, you use him as a starter, you'll get so far, and then he hits the wall. Every year we've seen it. It's not a question. We've seen it over and over again with him. He hits that wall, and then he turns into Jameis Winston.
But with Brian Flores, of course, he comes from New England. He's putting together just one of the best defenses down there. That team is really starting to show out. Fitzpatrick does have a Hail Mary of a pass to end up beating the Raiders in that last game. Still didn't help them in their playoff chances. But you see, I got all those big draft picks down there in Miami, and just as a GM, I would so much prefer getting some Pro Bowl or maybe even a Hall of Fame defensive lineman, or getting some good offensive linemen. And
they don't need the defense, man. They got a great defense in Miami.
Yeah, but there's going to be like 73 quarterbacks free agents this offseason. Now, obviously, most of them are free agents because they've, for one reason or another, and, with the franchise that they were drafted to or have been with, they were determined or deemed to be. But you know what? Talking about Sam Darnold and those New York Jets, do you know the best 4-game stretch that Sam Darnold ever had as a quarterback was in Todd Bowles last year as a coach there with the Jets. And of course, Todd Bowles was running that defensive-minded team, and Sam Darnold had his best forward. Now, it may have just been lucky or happenstance they were playing some teams, but you're talking about a defensive-minded coach, and the Dolphins have a bunch of picks, and having just spent a first-round pick on Tua last year, it just seems like, man, if you take another swing for a first-round quarterback and this one doesn't work out, you've literally just given up the next 5 years trying to build, even though you have a good defense, whereas you may have some great free agent quarterbacks out there that you can go to choose from.
Well, I think those free agent quarterbacks are going to get gobbled up as quick as possible. They're trying to pry quarterbacks off of teams right now.
Yeah,
look at the Texans. Look, the Texans, in my opinion, are really ignorant about holding on to Watson like they are, because, all right, we built our team from the foundation up. Then we went and got a quarterback that could take us when we needed it. I think that's what the Jets really need to do. I think they need to focus on building that team instead of putting a quarterback in there to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And I think Miami's right there at the cusp of doing that themselves. And I think that's what they should do. I think they should just take the draft picks and get what they need and get a Carson Wentz. Go trade a couple of draft picks away for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, because what if Miami, who they also have some cap space, what if they could bring in a Chris Godwin, and then they can also bring in a Devontae Smith, of course, your Heisman Trophy winning receiver from Alabama. So you basically have two of the best receivers. So you have another. Wait a second, John. Let me make sure. So you have another tandem, just like you did with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin here, and you bring them in there, and maybe or use another one of those first-round picks that they got on a running back, or fortifying that offensive line. So basically, you just need a good journeyman quarterback that can come in and run a play action pass. And with that defense, you still have success. I don't know. I just, maybe it's from all the years of seeing Vinny Testaverde and Trent Dilfer and all the times the Bucs took a quarterback in the top 5 that was supposed to be a can't miss, and we never put anything around him, so they ended up being misses. And it just, as a general manager, or the general manager in me says, fortify the structure around them, and then find your quarterback, but you don't have to sell the farm always to get that first round quarterback.
No, you don't. Yeah, well, you're not really selling the farm with a first-round quarterback either. Then you got 5 years of easy cap space too.
That's also a good point. So if you get Justin Fields or a quarterback like that, and you get him on a 5-year plan, but you already have Tua on a 5-year. He's only year 2 of a 5-year plan, and I don't know. I know you said that Tua got in there and he looked awfully scared at times, but there was also a couple of times when Tua came in there and it seemed like he was going to set the world on fire. And I mean,
didn't he look a lot like somebody else we know? And I'm not talking about Winston. I'm talking about the guy who came in with Winston.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
Except for a lot faster, and he's got. I wish I could make a comparison to Kyler Murray because Kyler
I'm
Murray's
just
got.
looking at the body type, man. He looks to me the way his throwing motion, his footwork. He looks like Marcus Mariota, and he's fragile. So,
Yeah.
I mean, where do you get? I would put Alex Smith up against Tua as far as taking hits. I
Okay.
mean, I watched Aaron Donald on Alex Smith's back after he came back and riding him and Alex Smith carrying him. That's where somebody should be looking. If they want to go from what in Washington, if they want to go to a new quarterback
Yeah.
and Alex Smith becomes a backup,
Yeah.
I think one of those teams should be all in on Smith.
Oh. Well, speaking about Alex Smith, another former San Francisco 49 quarterback, and we heard this week that San Francisco signs Josh Rosen to stay again next year.
I knew you'd get your Josh Rosen in there.
I got it
knew
every show. I literally his agent and I have a plan. It's every show I have to mention him. Let me get back to a couple of these comments, if you will, Johnny, real quick. Focosa says, we keeping Sue. I think I already read that one. Yeah, I think it's going to depend on if Sue wants to play or not. I don't think we're going to boot him out the door. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, about $10 million a year, and I'm not saying Sue's I think Sue is a little bit, he still showed up this year, especially after the Hinkle McCrinkleberry back against the Packers back there in the Packers game earlier this season in October. And Sue stepped in there. And I think Sue, with a combination of Vita Vea and also, some of the other pieces we have, I hate to use the term, but I'm going to use it with this Todd Bowles defense. You can have system players. And I'm not going to say Sue is a system player. Sue has just been Sue, but he's been Sue for a long time. And I think that might be one of those positions, of course, unless we do bring in like a J.J. Watt or something like that. But that might be with a healthy Vita Vea and some of the other pickups we have inside the interior defensive line. I don't think we have to spend $10 million on another inside defensive lineman. What do you think?
What are you going to give them? Pennies?
Well, no, we got Steve McClendon. I mean, you got Vita Vea. You may be able
I'll get okay. Steve McClendon is not Sue, dude.
No. I'm not saying he's Sue. I'm just saying that we might, if we're going to try to keep a Shaq Barrett, if we're going to try to keep, get Levante paid, another happy Levante, then maybe that $10 million from another, interior defensive line position, because you've got to make cuts somewhere, right? Just like we know we've got to make a cut with the Chris Godwin wide receiver. You can't have two receivers at 15 or 18 million. I know Mike Evans already did the team thing and said he'll take a pay cut to stay here, but teams can't have, especially this next year, because the NFL is going to bring that cap down to about 180 to $186 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you're going to pay 10. You're going to pay 10. 10 is cheap. That's cheap for a defensive tackle like Sue. You put a guy up there like McClendon. McClendon's a great guy for rotation. He's not a full-time. Look at Sue's snaps this year. He took 80% of the snaps.
Yeah.
He played 80% of the snaps. People and everybody said, "Oh, he takes plays off." He didn't take any plays off. Sue was vital in that defense, man.
No, Sue was vital.
Yeah.
Well, also
so you're going to have you can't just replace him with. You can replace him. He can be replaced. You bring in J.J. Watt, you're losing that run the run stuff that Sue brings, because J.J. Watt's not strong against the run.
Right.
But you gain by getting that pass rush again, and you got Vita Vea there. If he stays healthy for a full year, then you got that run. He's the run stopper.
I'll tell you what,
got the holes.
Nacho stepped up this year too. Nunez Roches. I mean, he actually.
I want Nacho in the same role he's in right now. He coming in a rotation like that. He's perfect. He's got his, and that's what I love about the rotation and our depth right now, because we have the depth that our guys had their breath. They weren't wore out in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left on the clock. They were the stronger team.
Yes. Especially early on in the season, that with the way the offense was going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, there were quite a few times where the defense was getting winded. But to their credit, because of the rotation, because the rotational strength that we had, we didn't get completely. The Saints game, we got, they got winded. The Saints game looked like the team looked like they pretty much gave up in the third quarter, and that was because that we could just have no success against those New Orleans Saints. But of course, we get scoreboard there in New Orleans in the playoffs, so I guess that all becomes moot after the fact. Let me see here. Misador says Sue will likely play in Tampa or retire. I agree, me. Coming in from Twitter or coming in from YouTube, Richard Sanders says, I would like to see Sue and J.J. Watt in a rotation on a defensive line. I'll tell you what.
That would be nice to see in a rotation, but it ain't going to happen. That would be $20 million for one position now.
That would be scarier than hell, though, right?
Yeah, it would.
Deshaun Tisdale says Sue can be replaced. Anybody can be replaced. So let's just put it there. I mean, anybody, next man up mentality. I don't think, except for Tom.
Sue can be replaced, but there's very few that can replace him. You're talking top 5 talent to replace him.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it out there. There's no Aaron Donald's locked up. You got J.J. Watt is your best opportunity right there. And then after J.J. Watt, where are you going? As far as replacing Sue like that, unless you draft, and then you draft, and then you have to develop the draftee that you get.
Well, there might be a couple of players. There's always, because we play a 3-4, and a lot of teams play a 4-3, but there's always players.
Wait. We don't just play a 3-4. We play a 3-4. We play a 4-3. We play 5-man front. We play zone. Dude, that's the genius of Todd Bowles' system.
Right.
Nobody knows what's coming at them.
Well, the point I was making, though, is because of the fact
that your foundation thing.
Well, because we play so many fronts, it does give us some options that there are going to be players out there that you can find to come in here. Are they Ndamukong Suh? No, by no stretch of the imagination. But again, it's a numbers game. Because let's go ahead. Let me read a couple more of these comments real quick, Johnny, and we'll get back to this. Deshaun says we need to shore up our depth. Definitely, always need to shore up our depth. Deshaun also says I don't think Shaq is back. Mike Williams says, keep Sue, replace Barrett. Unless we franchise Barrett, we are going to lose him. He wants to break the bank. Do you think, because we want to keep Barrett. We want to keep Barrett, right? Do you think that franchising, because you can only franchise him one more time, do you think franchising Barrett again is enough? Because, that's also going to make him an unhappy camper. I mean, he's a team player, but he probably wants to see what that market bears.
I think when Shaq says he wants to break the bank, he wants to get paid is what he means. And it doesn't mean that he's going to be paid the number one spot, number one outside linebacker spot.
Right.
He's going to get paid an average wage. And I do believe he deserves that. After 8 years of him in the league and trying to get a contract and never having nothing but 1 year deals, I'm pretty sure he's tired of that crap.
He put in his time behind Von Miller. He put in his time, and he was, even when the Broncos win that Super Bowl, he was pretty much on the travel squad, if you will. He wasn't, he was a situational player. He put in his due time. Such a success story, and we love the Shaq Barrett story because here's a guy that he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest. He played behind some great players, but he hustled and he worked and he constantly strove to get better. And then 19 and a half sacks last season. He strove to be the top of his career, his profession. I don't
wish him no ill will if he gets a better opportunity or a better paycheck and he goes. I don't wish him no ill will. I was talking to his father about that the other night.
Yeah,
and it's just he has a family too. He's got to put money away for his future, and he hasn't been able to do so because he's been on these 1 year deals.
Although $15 million 1 year deal, he's putting a little bit away.
Well,
but I know what you're saying. I mean, because
it's a short career, man. It's a short career. If you don't think farther ahead than that, if you got to think into your retirement years with this stuff.
And here's the thing with Shaq, he's continuing to improve. He's at the top of his game, But
Yes.
this is his big contract. The contract he gets, right? If he gets franchised one more year and then knock on wood were to suffer some type of injury or whatever, this is his contract. This is when he needs to get paid. So when he says break the bank, I totally agree with that. I think the kid knows that this could be his big 3 to 5 year, 50 million or 40 million guaranteed. Get that huge signing bonus and then be comfortable. I just don't think the Buccaneers are the team that can do that.
I don't think I'd go outside of 3 years right at the moment, but I'd give him a 3-year deal, and I'd give him the money to make him happy.
If we can give him like I'm just shooting in the dark here, but give him a 3-year, 60 million, prorate it, 30 million of it a bonus over 3 years, so that we take 10, 10, and 10. So basically, we pay him $10 million a year, and that basically makes him whole at almost $20 million a year. And you've got a very happy Shaq Barrett for the next 3 years. But then you've still got you got JPP's only on another 1 year. Then you got hey, let me ask you this, Johnny, since we're talking contract. Donovan Smith, there's no doubt he's playing. People were talking up through week 6. Oh, well, next year, no dead money on Donovan next year because there's no hit. $14 million for Donovan Smith at this point, the way he played, especially through these playoffs and the end of the season, that's a bargain right now.
Yeah, Donovan Smith will he's not going nowhere. He's going to be back. I don't think it's going to get $14 million. They might drop that down to 12 because of the salary cap next year. It's not like the Bucs are broke. They got the sixth most. They got the sixth most cap space available right at the moment. So in the league. So there is. We do this every year. We do this every year, Ray. We talk about cap space and what we can afford, what we can't afford, and here we go. The Bucs come in and they get all kinds of players, and they still come under the cap space. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be moving and who ain't, and where we're going to get stuff.
There's one player that I'm worried about because we got to get this cat signed, and that's Ryan Suckup.
You know what? I'm right there with you on that. But
I love me some Ryan Suckup.
But the rest of that special teams, that's got to be revamped. And
Bradley Pinion.
Yeah.
You talk about a huge play going back to that Super Bowl.
I'm more concerned with the people they've got in there gunning and stuff. You've got the linebacker. What's his name? Minter. I've never seen Minter miss so many plays, man, as when he's playing in special teams. He's not a good special teams player, dude. And they talk about he's their best. And if he's their best, why is he missing so many tackles?
Well, he's the best because he played in a Bruce Arians system out there in Phoenix, right? So he stepped in when the Devin White goes down. So, we didn't miss too much of a beat. But as far as a gunner on special teams, the fact that he is a gunner on special teams just goes to show you how special he is. And I'm not putting them people down, but usually the gunners on special teams and such, those are your guys that are younger guys that are hustling to work their way up and get into a starting role, as opposed to a linebacker that's been in the league for 7 years and just trying to hang on. So I agree with you entirely there. But I want to go back to that Super Bowl. Hold
on. Can you pick up Andrew's last comment there? I want to respond to that.
Andrew Faubert, above or below?
At the bottom of the pile there.
Let's go to the very bottom. Oh, Andrew says here, I still hold that Smith should go for more cash somewhere else, and the Bucs could grab one of the top O-line with the pick number 32 if they keep it.
I don't see your logic in that, Andrew. I'm sorry, buddy, but you've developed a player that can play well with Brady.
Right.
He was one of our best tackles this year.
Yeah.
And you want to just throw him away and put another rookie who may not be a Tristan Wirfs, not picking at 32.
Yeah.
You're not going to get another Tristan Wirfs at 32, buddy.
Picking at 32, you're going to be lucky to get I don't even know who to compare it to.
If you're thinking about Orlando he's not going to fit the team because this team does not deal with people who decide to play only one position.
Well, no, and as much as Tristan Wirfs showed up on the right side there this year, and I like that going back and look at it. Mike drop, the best offensive line, and of course he comes off the board third, the best offensive lineman in the draft. And remember, the Bucs gave Jason Light, or not the Bucs, but the people were giving Jason Light some crap because we trade away a 4th-round pick to jump one spot to get that cat, just because we knew we wanted him. Because you know as well as I do, there had to have been 1 or 2 or 3 teams out there that were making that call to Frisco, and we move up that 1 pick to get him. But and I've said this, unless Tristan Wirf's moving over to left tackle and you've got some other plan at right tackle, which I don't think at this point happens, I think Tristan Wirfs has shown that he is so solid and such a great right tackle, getting to the next level and blocking and opening up that running game. I think
the only way you move these guys around right at the moment is for injuries. That's it, period.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
You're not moving them around. They're set. They know how to protect Brady where they're at. And if they keep protecting Brady, we might have 3 Super Bowl titles here.
But I want to go back to that Super Bowl, and you were talking about, Brad, some of our special teams plays, but, a little bit of a play that really doesn't get talked about, but that was a huge play in that game, was that KC punt, where that KC punter, 53-yard net gain punt, pins us back, right? Pins us back on our 25 or 30-yard line, and there was a 5-yard holding play, or 5-yard, or maybe it was an eligible man downfield. And of course, 9 times out of 10 these days in the NFL, it seems coaches just say, "All right, take the ball where it is," even though that was on the fence because we were so pinned. Of course, we go back and have him kick it. It shanks off his right foot and goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line, and the Bucs take over right there. That's a huge play in that game. A turning point play in that game that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, the special teams outside of suck up, if you're looking for a weakness on this team, that's the only weakness I can find. And
yeah,
re-signing all these guys is going to be a pain, but we're going to get most of them back, I believe.
Let me go back to some comments. Deshaun Tisdale says, "I don't think Shaq is back." I think I read that one. Mike Williams says, "Keep Sue, replace Barrett unless we okay, we already read that one. Franchise Barrett." Deshaun Tisdale also says, "Nacho, not more than what he is." And I think we were talking about that. We're not talking about Nacho is going to break out and become another Ndamukong Suh, but what I like is that Nacho, when it was his time to because when Vita Vea goes down, honest to gosh, we were all, our hearts sank. Because we know this behemoth, this stud we have on the interior defensive line, the strongest kid out of Washington, Husky. And when he goes down, it seemed like there were gray skies ahead, and they did have some struggles early on, especially as they.
Well, it did hurt our secondary a lot because they weren't getting the pressures.
Exactly. And a good front end makes up for a bad back end. We say that all the time, right, JD?
Yep.
Donald Symes says Barrett was a key element in winning a Super Bowl. 100%. 100%. Barrett, what a great, what did I do? I went to full screen. What a great job talking about the fact that the Buccaneers, I think they said that on 56 dropbacks, Patrick Mahomes was under pressure 29 times. And you talk about not letting him get to the right. Even when he circled to the left, he still almost got lucky on
that whole not getting to the right. I've watched Patrick Mahomes. He throws just as well off the right as he does the left. Okay. Patrick Mahomes is a prodigy. Okay. Yes. He is something that's very special right now. But right now is right now. You know who else took the same steps to get where they're at right now?
Who?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
They have the exact same start in football. The exact same start. Russell Wilson hasn't been back. No.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. I'm not going to bet my mortgage on it. But guys, the NFL can make whatever narrative they want. Halfway through the season, Brady was fighting with Arians. Was Brady going to be able to adjust? Was it Brady and Belichick? It's always going to be a narrative because that's what they do. They write a narrative. It's what I do when I write for Bucs Reporter. That's what you and I are doing.
Fire the coach and fire the GM and fire everything else we heard all year long.
Yeah, but I'm just so tired. I was so tired of hearing it. It's the baby goat versus the original goat. Now, I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't the most gifted quarterback, tool-wise, right now in today's NFL. But you're talking about a body of work in 20 years in Tom Brady. and 17 Pro Bowls and 10 Super Bowls and 5 Super Bowl MVPs and the things that he's done. And Patrick Mahomes is, he's 44-10. He's been to a Super Bowl and he's been victorious, and he was an MVP. I get it. He's still a great quarterback, but don't even use the word GOAT. Give him another half a decade to a decade.
I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady in the least right now. Right now, the closest thing I could see him to is Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers right at the moment.
Yeah, good comparison, but even Aaron Rodgers, I think, leaves him in the dust. But Russell Wilson's a good comparison. I mean, I'm trying to think of another quarterback out there I might compare him to. Maybe a Deshaun Watson, just because Deshaun is that talented. I'm not comparing the two as far as how they play, but, Deshaun hasn't got a Super Bowl yet, but he plays for a dysfunctional Houston Texans team, or at least he formerly did. Let's go ahead and see here. Donald, let's see here. Donald said, Evans offered to take less money to keep the team together. And, what a great thing to do, Mike Evans. I mean, they're going to make
if Tom Brady was not here, Evans and Levante David would be the face of our franchise. They are the face of our franchise.
They are,
yeah. For a while.
I love Levante David going out for the coin toss there in the game, and the fact that he ends up being his speed cover, his coverage skills ends up being basically the reason why we're able to keep Travis Kelce in check. And Kelce was the one that went out there and joined him at midfield for that coin toss. I thought that was phenomenal. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think that I'm happy that NFL Network has finally decided. Oh, there's Levante David. Damn, he's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe you should have made a Pro Bowl or two over the years.
Yeah.
Andrew Faubert says Evans and Brady taking less, possibly more, ensures enough cash. So I haven't heard about Brady taking less, although I wouldn't put it past him because the TB12 brand seems to be really working well, and he's doing really well. When
Brady takes less, it's not really taking less. It's a restructure where he gets his money in bonuses and upfront pay. It seems like he's taking less, but what he's doing is he's doing a team-friendly contract. Team-friendly contract doesn't always mean that you're taking less money. It means it's not showing up on the cap the way it normally would.
And don't forget, Giselle's a witch, and she has a way of making it all work. So
just because she's enthralled you, Ray.
Oh, she's the good witch of the East. I love me some Giselle. Andrew Faubert says, I still hold that Smith should go for more cash somewhere else, and the Bucs could grab one of the top O-line. Okay, I think we already covered that one. Maybe we covered that one. Andrew Faubert says Wirfs to left tackle. I don't know.
Andrew, come on, man. Andrew, I know for a fact that you're better than that.
I know. I think is Andrew trolling? I think maybe Andrew's trolling.
I think maybe he is, but
that's all right. We love Andrew. Ben Israel says, I'm tired of being 2021 Super Bowl champions. I want to be 2022 Super Bowl champions.
I already feel like it's now. I'm trying to put that out of my head, dude, and look at this season as a normal season, but it's hard to do. It really is.
And here's the thing, JD, Bucs Report, we're 24/7, 365. And this was before Tom Brady and before everything and before the Super Bowl, because the season ends and then we're talking about we're talking about the combine, we're talking about the draft, we're talking about mini camps, we're talking about contracts. So this year, even more so, we happen to be the last teams that are playing, getting done February 7th, but we've got a draft in less than a month and a half, and we're just going to keep on going. So just again, everybody, just a reminder, keep it here on Bucs Report because we have got you covered from wire to wire. It's what we do, and we love doing it because you guys interact with us. In fact, speaking of interacting, nobody's taken that link and come in here, Johnny. I think they're a little intimidated by us.
Come on, don't be scared. Andrew, grab that link, man. It's up there.
Get in there, Andrew. Come on. Deshaun Tisdale should jump in there. In fact, Eugene Thomas from Buck What You Heard was going to try and make it on here today, but I was watching him in Tampa Bay last night, and they did just a great job, phenomenal show on Friday nights. And he said he was going to try to get in here, but it might be something came up, so that's cool.
Andrew says he's going to jump on in 2 minutes. So
all right, cool. Let's do it. He come on here and try to defend that moving Wirfs over to left tackle. Deshaun Tisdale says, you don't move Smith now. No, you don't. No. Deshaun Tisdale also says at this point, special teams is our weakness. I think he was alluding to exactly what you were saying, JD. Barry Gould says, I like Suck Up. He can stay. 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I like Suck Up. He can stay. I like Suckup too. Now he's a scoring leader, just passing Martin Gramatica this year. Now he is a scoring leader for the Bucs.
I started as soon as the Super Bowl was over. I was looking at draft picks. I'm sorry. Actually, I started that before the Super Bowl, and I know Rick hated that, but I got to do that.
You got to.
I have to. And I see it's already pretty much narrowed down that we're looking at an edge rusher with this, in this draft. First off, right. I can see us going edge rusher and getting a younger linebacker, but at 32, that would be most of your great linebackers. If you can, it's so hard to look at the draft this year because there's not a lot from last year from these guys. Okay.
Right.
And it's banging your head against the wall trying to go through each player and stuff. But
what if the Bucs were to franchise Chris Godwin and then trade him? I mean,
you got to know what the market is for Chris Godwin because pretty much every team has a Godwin.
Yeah, no, I mean, but we know the talent.
Look at the Raiders. The Raiders have their Aguilar. Who else?
They just drafted Henry Ruggs from Alabama.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs, and it's Chris Godwin. Everybody knows that might make him stay because the value.
Right.
Their value is not that. It's like a running back, really, because every draft has one of those guys. His body type, they're not the number one, but they're fast and they're dependable. And we were talking about Adam Humphries earlier, and
yes,
and that's basically Chris Godwin 2.0, Adam Humphries. Okay.
Johnny, yes. Let me ask you this: you got to take two players. You want to let them both test the market. And you want to see what the market bears, because then Jason calls both their whatever, and tells their camp, look, we want you guys to test the market, and please, if you find a great team and you want to go play, where you're from originally, do it, go have a good time. They tell Chris Godwin and Shaq Barrett, go test the market, see what you can get, come back and talk with us.
That's basically what they're going to do.
Who do you think who do you think Shaq Barrett and the speed off the corner and what he's done and how important it is to have an edge rusher like that makes him definitely a hotter commodity and probably more of a chance that we lose him as opposed to a Chris Godwin?
I think Shaq Barrett could get overlooked in the free agency market, man. I'm not overlooked, but compared to Chris Godwin, where everybody's got him ranked in the top 5 wide receivers in the league, there's a big difference there,
Yeah.
So that Chris Godwin he's ranked in the top 10 or top 5 in the league.
Oh yeah, he's got hands like a spider.
He's going to get interest, and he's going I'm not saying what I said earlier wasn't saying that his pay was going to be crappy. It's not going to be crappy. It's going to be top 5 money.
And here's the thing:
as far as the Buccaneers go, they have to look at it like, I can draft another Chris Godwin. Can I draft another Shaq Barrett? Shaq Barrett, if you remember correctly, we'd been looking for a Shaq Barrett since Simeon Rice left this team.
Yeah, but I took heat last year, and I'm not taking away from Shaq Barrett. I hate to take away from him, but I got a lot of heat last year when he got the 19.5 sacks, and everybody was saying, "Well, sell the farm, give this kid whatever he wants, $100 million guarantee. Let's give him a Patrick Mahomes contract." And I think I may have overstepped my bounds when I used this term, but I used the term he was a system player. And I'm not saying system player being that he's only good because of a system, but when you saw when Vita Vea goes out injured this year, and of course we did get Nacho and some other step up in there, but he's got JPP on the other side, and he's got Lafante and Devin White.
All right. But look what happened. It's not just Shaq that fell off. Everybody on the defense fell off without Vita in there.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is if you take away Devin White and Levante David in the middle there and their sideline to sideline speed and Vea up the middle, now Shaq still has freak ankles and he still turns the corner and he's got that veteran leadership. But if you keep your Devin White and Levante David in a healthy Vea, and you draft another, or a soon-to-be JPP replacement in another year or two, I don't know if you pay $17, $18 million for Shaq Barrett because,
Well, let
again,
me explain something. Some people may not know this, but when
please.
Vita Vea went down, they changed the defensive scheme. They started using stunts a lot. Okay, tons of them, and they were putting Shaq out in pass coverage. They were stunting him around the line to the center. They were doing all kinds of little tricks to stop the run.
Right.
They focused on the run. When Vita Vea went down, all the focus went to the run game. They weren't putting the pressure on. It shows on the stats. Look at the stats. The pressures fell off because they had to substitute for the run game. Because the first thing in football is you stop the run. That's the first thing you do in defense. You stop the run and get your pressure off of that. Okay, by overloading the line. That's what we were doing then. Okay.
Right.
Of course, Shaq's numbers fell off when Vita went out. Everybody's numbers fell off when Vita went out.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't have. I'm just saying that I go back again to last year. Of course, it was even harder last year because he had 19 and a half and he led the NFL in sacks. And I love Shaq Barrett. I love this kid's heart. It's just, if you're talking about other pieces of this pie, and I'm not saying that I'm saying he's the one that's got to go, but as you start to divvy up that lessened cap pie, you start to figure out, okay, what can I commit to here? And I just don't know if we can. I mean, if it's a franchise tag, another $17 million, you go another year, then that's great. But if you're talking about a 3-year, $60 million contract, and you're starting to look at, well, what happens when so-and-so's up in another year, or Levante, and Levante's a free agent now after this year. Am I not right on that?
I have to look that up.
No, brother, I'm sorry. Don't do that because I'm pretty sure I'm not. I think he's one more year. But, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. Maybe I shouldn't have. I was trying to say that.
Well, we said a 3-year deal for Shaq. And that's where else are you going to spend the money? Everybody else that we absolutely have to have is already under contract.
Except for
Godwin.
And Dominic
that's the next most important player. And Godwin has already, all right, he hasn't come out and said it, but his body language, his actions, the way he talks, he has not once said that he's coming back next year. Not one time has he said that.
No, he's been very quiet about that.
Yes.
And you know who's a free agent after this year? Ryan Jensen. And I think Ryan Jensen, I don't know. I mean, Cat's been around for a while, but it seems to me like he's playing his meanest and best ball right about now, and especially the way
I don't see a difference in Ryan Jensen now and Ryan Jensen is 5th year with the Ravens, dude.
I know. I don't see it. I mean,
don't.
This guy still, he can still put some chicken wings away, but I'm not going to go there either because we know what happened last time I did that. Let me see here. Oh, Barry Gold says, I like Suck Up. He could stay. We read that one. So Andrew Faubert says, yeah, more a restructure. Thank you, Johnny. Andrew Faubert says, all right, 2 minutes. It's been 2 minutes, Andrew. Where are you, brother?
Yeah, where are you?
Deshaun Tisdale says, post a link. We did post a link, Deshaun. It's in our message. Oh, wait a second. You know something? I got someone right here. I'm gonna let him get comfortable here. But coming in now, North Sports Dynasty, Mr. Andrew Faubert. Andrew, how are you today?
Hey, boys. I'm not too bad. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, what's up there?
We can hear you, brother. Johnny,
how you guys been? We are champions.
Yes.
We are the I can't sing.
So, Andrew, what were you doing when the Bucs, when the final whistle blew last Sunday night and the Buccaneers were Super Bowl 55 champions?
I cried. There's a picture of me on Facebook that Kim actually got a great picture. I don't necessarily remember. I wasn't intoxicated or anything, but when we were taking the knees, I really just, my phone blowing up and everything like that from a lot of my friends here in Canada. You guys, a lot of friends, down in the States there, just friends and fans and everybody across the world who's been, wanting this more than anything. I basically broke down. I put my phone on the ground and I cried with all my friends down at the stadium that I couldn't be there with. It was a surreal experience. And I think one of the other reasons why I broke down is because I wasn't down there. I had an opportunity. And then my prime minister said, anybody who decides to leave this country is going to pay $2,200 a day. And I was like, well, little bit too much money for me, so I wasn't able to come down.
Andrew, I would have covered that for you. I would have called Trudeau. I would have put in a good word for you. Him and I go back.
I mean, hey, you can do the best you can, but it wasn't going to work. So, but I mean, I enjoyed it just as much as everybody else did. That game was awesome. I was only ticked off for maybe 5 minutes when we had to punt, and then after that, smooth sailing, in my opinion.
Hey, Johnny, I want to tell you and Andrew this story. So I was at home watching the end of the game with my family. Again, I want to throw props out to Peter Blake and Philip Schwegler because they covered the post game for me, and I had some issues. I had to run home. But Andrew, you'll appreciate this. Sitting there with my entire family, we're watching the end of the game, and of course the Bucs get the ball back, and all we have to do is clock it, right? They go into victory formation. Brady gets right under Jensen. Of course, you got Fournette right in back of him. Brady hikes the ball, goes to a knee. Well, I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I'm still intense in the game, and I hear my 10-year-old, she's laughing. And I didn't think nothing of it. I figured the kids were like, playing Jenga or something. I didn't know. So Bucs come, Bucs 35 seconds later, Bucs come back up again, go victory formation. John, get in really tight. Brady gets the ball, goes right to his knee. My 10-year-old gets hysterical. And I turned to her and I said, "Hon, what is so funny?" She said, "Why is he kneel? Why does he keep doing that?" And Andrew and Johnny it made me so happy. It warmed my heart. My daughter had never seen victory formation to end a game before, and she just thought it was the funniest thing ever.
It's a beautiful sight. I know that.
To end a Super Bowl, it sure was, my friend.
So, Andrew, I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Who wanted more? Who wanted more points?
What's that?
Who wanted more points? Who wanted this Super Bowl to end with us with a 50 burger on here?
With the 50 burger. All I know is the Buccaneers became the first team in NFL history to score 30 points or more in all 4 playoff postseason games, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's like 79 to 30 or something like that, or 20, something like that.
But I will say that my final prediction for the Super Bowl, I had the Bucs winning 42-17. So I was close.
I said 36-28.
You went out there? I thought I was the only one. I said on Rick's show, and I think I said it on Peter's show, that it was going to look a lot like the first Super Bowl we had.
You did, Johnny, and you said it was going to be under. I think you did too, didn't you? I'm
not sure. I don't think I took the over or under.
No, I was surprised with it being the under because I thought, because of course 31-9, it was 40. The over-under was 56. I said if it's an under, the Bucs win the game, because if it's an over, it's a shootout. Even though I still like the Buccaneers' chances in a shootout, I think a shootout means Patrick Mahomes, and then we're getting off, which makes the game a little more in question, if you will.
Right.
Very much so.
This game has people thinking whether this is the best defense we've ever had, and there's argument for it. There is a big argument for it.
There is argument for it, but at the same time, too, when you look at history and talking statistics, I know John doesn't like to talk too much statistics, but when you bring in the statistics and you look at the key plays that were made and stuff like that, it's almost identical, except for we're still the top defense when it comes to 0-2 all-time statistically. So, but this one was flashy, and this one took time to build and get to where it needed to be. And I don't think they're done, guys. I don't think this defense is done.
That's the glory of this. That is the glory of this. After the last Super Bowl, nobody was expecting.
It went downhill.
Nobody was expecting a repeat because of what we gave up for that Super Bowl. Nobody expected that. We knew we didn't have any draft picks. We knew we didn't have any capital. We had no money. We was going to have to. And then once Sapp was gone, and we knew that we wasn't coming back for a little bit.
Well, don't forget, too, after the last Super Bowl in 2003, that season, Rich McKay finally had enough of John Gruden. Of course, him and John Gruden were butting heads, so they let Rich McKay go, and he immediately makes that beeline to Atlanta. And, of course, John Gruden brings in Bruce Allen, and the rest is catastrophic history.
So Johnny and Ray, I have one question that was brought up just because I kind of seen today that everybody was talking about the JJ Watt to the Bucs, or people wanting him, people not wanting him here.
Right.
I heard earlier that, if we let Stu go, that he would be a good replacement. Are we saying that, and I'm not trying to argue or anything, I'm just saying, are we saying that JJ is going to be more in the middle then, or are we just going to utilize him
That's
wherever?
his position. He plays the same position as Sue.
He does.
He does. But
But
it just seems like on tape he succeeds a little bit more on the edge. It seems like Houston kind of used him in the middle when they needed a stop, or they thought it was going to be a run, because he was really the only thing they had once they let the big guy there that they had in the past go.
Well, if you watch tape on us, man, we do the same thing. We move Sue around, we move Barrett around. You see Barrett over on the inside, and you'll see him in the backfield trying to catch.
Do we think that JJ would only take like $6 million though?
Well, here's
JJ would be valuable at the same price as Sue's got.
I tell you what, we give him a cut of TB12, we bring him in here. But I'll tell you what, though, you bring up an interesting question, though, Andrew, because even though that's predominantly his position is inside, you've also go back and look, and JJ he'll put that hand on the ground and play from the defensive end, and I've even seen him play from a stand-up defensive end position, but just a straight-up bull rush. So, I mean, what if Todd Bowles is going into what if him and Giselle are cooking up this concoction and they're somehow thinking that you keep Sue inside? And what if they're looking at a J.J. Watt going more to a defensive end and or not a stand-up defensive end, but maybe what if that's your avenue in case Shaq Barrett ends up not playing on this team next year?
So that's kind of what I've been leaning towards as well. There is I think if anybody's not going to re-sign with the Bucs, it would be Shaq, and that's just only because of the amount of money that he would require or want. I think we all agree on that, right?
We don't even know what he's actually talking about when he says break the bank. Is he's not getting top 5 or top 10 defensive end or outside linebacker.
No, but he might want to break, say, the 100 million mark. So when I went in the comments there and I said, the best thing for us as an organization would to keep him for 3 years at 18.5 to 19.5, gives that flexibility, gives, not to say 2 more years for him to prove himself. I think he's definitely proved himself, but it gives him the 2 years where he can make his money. Then on the 3rd year, if he really wants to go make money elsewhere, like big bank it, then he could. But I think when he says break the bank, I think he's looking for maybe that 5 or 6 year deal where he can get that 20 million, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about earlier, is let him test the market. I'm quite sure Jason Light's going to let him go out there and test the market, and he's going to find out he's not going to get that 100 million or 50 million. He's been in the league for 8 years. The most successful he's been is right here.
Von Miller for a bit there too. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I'm just saying I'm just doing the math in my head, and I'm looking at the money we're going to end up giving Devin White in a second contract, the money Levante David's going to want to stay here, the JPP contract we just got, our secondary. Okay, they're young, but their contracts are going to be coming up in the next couple of years, and they're starting to show some promise there. Like they're going to want to get paid, so it just becomes a numbers game with Shaq Barrett.
You don't, Ray. You're overthinking this too much, man. You don't look past 3 years, and we have 3 drafts before that.
So now, with that being said, though, 3 years too long. But if you think a year ahead, this is where I made my comment earlier about Smith, and I do want to state that I don't hate Smith. I think we all kind of poked at him at the beginning of the season, and he definitely became the left tackle that we needed him to be. And the only reason why I say if we were to let him go this year, because it's our option as the Buccaneers organization, and I say us as the fans, of course. But I say this: if you let him go now, and at 32, with an offensive line, and me, I like to do my off-season stuff, and the only reason I brought this up is because there is a lot of offensive line out there that could be moved. And Tristan Wirfs has proven to these offensive linemen coming up now that even if you're stated to be a left tackle or a right guard or right tackle or a center, if you prove that you can play anywhere on an offensive offensive line, your value goes up more than what an Andrew Thomas or a Willis or any of those other guys were last year who were stationary left tackles. The other reason I
They
bring
were
up
willing to put. Wait a minute. All right.
Yep. Go ahead, Johnny.
They already showed us what they think of that idea. They did not move Tristan Wirfs when Smith was out.
No. But when it
They
came to
put
the
Joel
draft,
Haig in there. Wait. They put Joel Haig in there to block Brady's blind side. Okay. So
veteran leadership. I agree.
So they're not going to do that, man.
But I tell you what, though, JD, and here's the thing: I agree that Tristan Wirfs has owned that right tackle so much that I mean, it scares me to think of moving him. But I'll say this to you guys: at the end of the day, I'd pay to see him move to left tackle because I think that not only could the kid do it.
Why? That's like going from left-handed to right-handed. It is. It is exactly the same thing.
May I make a point on that then, Johnny, to kind of add to what Ray was saying?
Right.
So Kappa is also coming off the books here soon if we don't re-sign him, right? Kappa has proven that he is definitely a top 10, arguably top 6 inside guard this year, and he has proven that he's gotten better and better and better. And I believe he was a 5th round pick, correct?
Right.
And maybe even maybe lower than that, like 4th or 3rd.
You're talking about guards,
No, I know. We're talking about practice.
You talking about practice? You talking about practice?
When I bring this up, my reasoning for it now is because the Buccaneers used to be laughed at as, an organization that can't figure out the offensive line, whereas we've seen Marpet go to center, we've seen Jensen and Kappa put people on their asses, and we've seen we've seen Jensen be one of the biggest contributions to getting penalties in the Super Bowl. We've done it all. So the only reason I say that is because Smith, and I love him, and I'm going to get heat for this, but Smith is still the least athletic of our 5 offensive linemen. If we were to let him go and get, and I'm not saying overpaid, he deserves every dollar that he's about to get. But if he got paid by somebody else and we brought in a Cosme or one of the guys from Northwestern or one of these other guys, and you put him at right tackle whilst bringing in a Haig or one of these other veteran leaders that we're going to be bringing in anyway, which we know it, which Johnny last year said was going to happen anyway. Johnny said bring 3 or 4 in, and Johnny was right. Shipley came in, Haig came in, the other guy came in. So that's what I think should happen. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But I think to allow cap flexibility in the next year, to allow the offensive line if Brady wins his 8th title and is done, now we have to bring in the next quarterback. He's got the best offensive line and the cheapest offensive line like the Cowboys had for 3 to 4 years. And then it doesn't even matter what quarterback you can bring in. It could be a young one. It could be a veteran one. You have the protection. And that's all I'm looking at.
You're not going to rock this boat on the offensive line right now. Not the starters. The starters are going to be there.
Well, I'll tell you what. And here's what I said, Andrew, and I'll stand by this too. It's not going to be a Jason Light decision. It's not going to be a Bruce Arians decision. I 100% believe it's Tom Brady decision. I think if they say to Tom Brady, because no one knows better than Tom, and there was a couple of early on in the season, there were a couple of times where Tom got pancaked, but then again, Donovan came through so strong late in the season. But we also still know that
Donovan Smith was out there blocking an inside screen. Come on, man, that's athletic as hell, dude.
No, he showed up. He showed up, but he still has trouble getting to the next level downfield blocking. I still see him sometimes looking lost in the backfield, like, what should I do next? And I'm not saying, he showed up. He had a great year, but I still say that, I don't know. Now I'm just back talking here.
No, you're not wrong. And Johnny's not wrong either, though. Like, Johnny makes the greatest point either. Like, I could state another 20 things that would sound really, really great about bringing in either a young guy or, even Trent Williams off of free agency. But Johnny makes the best point here. Is all 5 of those guys have just won a Super Bowl together. Donovan Smith got better at the end of the season. Like Nick Citro's comment where he said Donovan Smith is going to be a Pro Bowler almost came true. And I saw the line on Bodog.com, okay? If he would have put $2 on that, Nick Citro could have been able to fly to Canada 5 different times.
Hey, let me tell you something,
absolutely
Andrew.
Could.
First of all, I love the way you say organization.
Hey, Ray,
say it for me,
is Deshaun or anybody in the waiting room yet?
Oh my gosh, we do have Deshaun Tisdale in the waiting room. Let me bring Deshaun in here.
Right on.
See if we can add to him. Deshaun Tisdale, how are
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing today?
How's it going,
Sean,
buddy?
how you doing?
Hey, feeling pretty good, man. Just listening to you guys. Listen, it's an extraordinary thing when you win the Super
How are you,
Bowl
my
and
friend?
you can start discussing about next year. That feels great.
It does. This is my time to shine. This is where I love this, man. This is
But listen, hey Johnny, I think we spoke about this last year. It's one of the main comments that you usually say a little bit closer to draft time and just before the season. And we said this about Donovan Smith. Listen, if you have an offensive lineman, he's a veteran on your squad. You don't go get rid of your left tackle. We're
No.
picking up left tackles that are worse than Donovan Smith. And listen, I was one of the people I would start you against paying this guy what he's being paid. But when we saw playoff Donovan Smith, like we talk about playoff Leonard Fournette, we saw playoff Donovan Smith. Dude, he's been great. I cannot see losing continuity and losing, just losing camaraderie. You know, him and Marpet are like, the videos when they say, "Oh, we're like this." You know, him and Marpet are right there with each other. They hang out with each other. They're friends, they're buddies, pals, and all that. And I don't think that you move Donovan Smith right now when you got a line that you can return. What do you think this line's going to look like next year when that continuity's there? I mean, I think offensively, from a line perspective, we got to work on depth, being able to put in other players that provide more depth and greater flexibility for the line. But I think you got to leave those starters as they are. And Donovan Smith, we're talking about Tom freaking Brady. There's nothing behind Tom. I don't think anybody here or any Buccaneer fans thought that if Tom went down, that Gabbert was going to be able to do, what Tom's doing. So I feel like we got to protect him. And if that's what he needs, that's what you get.
absolutely.
Well, I got a question for you then, and I guess it would be kind of for all of you guys. Going to my comment that I made about Donovan Smith, though, what about, say, meeting down the middle where, after next season, because we don't know what Donovan Smith is going to ask for next season, because that's when he would be a free agent. And if he plays as well as he did this year, and we can't pay him what he would want, then I would agree, if we let him off of the books then and let him get paid somewhere else. Do you think if we took that 32nd overall pick and took an offensive lineman, the better offensive lineman that's available, do you think that would be better off? Or would you guys be more looking to go after like a wide receiver or a running back? What are you guys thinking there?
I can answer that. I guarantee you this year they're going with edge with the 32nd pick.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that.
Tony,
yeah, I agree.
Tony, there's a Tony guy that looks like he would be available there. So yeah, you're not wrong. Jalen Phillips from Miami, Quinton
Phillips,
Osei.
I like Osei from Texas. He's a pretty good edge rusher.
Let me ask you guys. Let me tell you this about that question. I don't see them going. I don't look. I'm kind of with Johnny on I'm not looking any more than 2 years out. And the reason I feel like that, and I'm very strong on that, is I just feel that VA if VA runs it back, or if we run it back again, or go for two rather, as you're saying, if we go for two and we get a second one, even when we're in the postseason, I really don't see VA coming back. I think that's the time where he rides off into sunset, gives the flag to one of these coordinators that's on staff, and gets them to be a head coach. And I don't see him going after 2 years. I don't like to look out 2 years because there's way too many things, intangibles. Other people start having to get paid. So if we're looking 1 year out, I could do it. But 2 years, it's a lot of things, in there. So for me, 32nd pick, I could say, hey, you pick up a guy, maybe you pick up an edge rusher or something that's going to help that defense stay whole. The secondary is pretty much staple. It has to be on the front. You're not going to pick up a D tackle there. So you definitely go with an edge rusher because you have the flexibility just to go with speed rush or best player available from a defensive edge rush position.
Hey, Deshaun, can I ask you a question real quick? First of all, I got two questions. Is that Gene Deckerhoff in that picture with you?
That is Gene. Yeah,
that's
Gene.
awesome. Hey, guys. If you don't mind me, I just want to do a little bit of house cleaning real quick because the people here at Studio Movie Grill have been the best hosts, and I love coming over here. I just wanted to go ahead and let everyone know out there that you can get 4 free movie tickets if you use the promo code Welcome Back SMG. But you got to go to their website, studiomoviegrill.com. Enter the code Welcome Back SMG to win 4 free movie tickets. But guys, I also want to share 2 things. Theater rentals start at $200, and you're talking about the fact that you can rent an entire theater out for birthday parties, and they've been doing that here. They had 9 theaters rented out last week for the Super Bowl. They had over 300 people here for a Super Bowl parties, but that was fantastic. But also parents, Valentine's Day tomorrow, if you're looking to do something with the family, or on any Sunday, kids 12 and under eat free here at the Movie Grill. So if you come down, you come to see a movie, you order one of those delicious burgers or those fajitas or those pizzas, get yourself a cold libation from Ricky over here at the bar. Kids eat free on Sundays. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But go ahead, Deshaun, you were saying.
Hey, give me that code again. We're going to go to the movies today, Studio Movie Grill. Give me that code again. What is it?
Deshaun, it's you go to the studiomoviegrill.com and you enter the code. You enter the code Welcome Back SMG, all one word, and you put it in there and you register to win 4 free movie tickets. And again, brother, the food's fantastic. The beer is cold. I've heard, but there's nothing better. I was just telling Johnny earlier, you go in, you sit down in your seat. They got a little red button on your little tray there. They got a nice tray that moves in. You hit the red button. They got the best staff comes over to you. They've got the world's best French fries, but they've got cheesy fries, burgers, a full bar. And actually they call their kitchen, I love it here, they call it the heart of the house. They've got the best food and drinks. So if you're in the area, you get to Studio Movie Grill, register for those 4 free tickets by putting in the code Welcome Back SMG on the Movie Grill, on the Studio Movie Grill website, studiomoviegrill.com. So guys, go ahead. I apologize.
Deshaun, I want to address what you said about the future.
Okay.
Arians has already said he's stepping back this year, and Todd Bowles is assistant head coach. Okay. That's what I love about now. We can plan for the future because they're thinking about the future. It's not like with the other coaches we've had that they were just worried about right here and now, and they didn't care about development, and they didn't care about this or that. This team is building for the future.
Well, let me say this, Johnny. So there's a couple of pieces that, as a fan and just someone that is always around, obviously this Buccaneer team and just NFL stuff in general, I would love to see Tampa take a little more pride. Obviously, special teams, I said it in a comment, and I agree with you fully. If you had to pick up a weakness for us, it would be special teams. I mean, obviously, we had to talk about special teams as a whole. So I know Ryan Sucker played, we're all to the liking of his play this year. But overall, we lost the step. Our gunners were definitely better. We had lost Ryan Smith? We lost one of our gunners last year, and then we just weren't the same team this year covering kicks. And listen, teams saw that, and I felt like they exploited that. It happened with the Saints. If that game, that return, that there was a flag with number 70, a speedy receiver that also returns kicks. If that didn't happen, that game would have been totally different. We are not covering. We cover like poo. And listen, most of the people that are on those coverage teams are backup position players. So if that's what they're giving us,
guys,
if that's what they're giving, I mean, well, when they make the 53, they're not practice squad anymore. They're usually on depth. Right. At that point, those are guys that, we're not talking about the starters out there. When I look out there, or even on big runs, I see Sean Murphy Bunting out there. I see Jamel Dean out there. I'm like, dude, do we not have a number 2 that could come in? Is Cockrell not good enough? Well, he was out there too. But, if there's a guy that, I think right now this year we have to replace a mentor with somebody that's realistic. It's a 6 games. If someone has a season-ending injury, do we have a linebacker that could come in? And then there's the clause. I mean, we're talking about paying Levante David right now what you would pay a Levante David or a Luke Kuechly. He's looking for those bigger numbers. But is this his last contract? I mean, what do you guys think? Is this Levante's last contract? And if he is he trying to break the bank if it is his last contract? Or should we pay him more? I don't see many players taking, friendly deals, if you will, especially when they haven't been getting paid.
Oh.
Yeah, Levante, he's not up till next year. And I do believe that they're going to draft linebackers. They're going to draft the line. Both
No, I
sides
think
of the line.
Levante's free agent. Levante's free agent. His agent, Ron, I forget what the agent's
Butler.
name is, but
Ron
I think
Butler.
his agent, yeah, Ron Butler, Agency One. He's up this year, so they got to talk to him this year. And now we all know. I mean, you guys know it. Now he's Super Bowl winning, so he gets snubbed for Pro Bowls. He's getting snubbed for everything else, which most Tampa Bay players are going to get snubbed. Hopefully next year that's not the case. But, up till now, we're always getting snubbed. And he's been phenomenal over his career.
Wait, Deshaun. So if you're telling me if Levante's up, now all of a sudden now the narrative becomes if you're going to use a franchise tag, are you going to franchise Levante or Shaq?
I'm not franchising Levante. I'm giving him a contract straight up.
I'm not franchising Levante either. I'll give him a shorter contract that makes the team feel. We got to find some middle ground to feel comfortable. And he's probably not gonna. I think, and this is where I'm asking you guys: do you think Levante David is looking for the career-ending contract now?
I personally do agree with that. Just to give everyone a quick heads up, here's a quick list of all the people who are free agents for the Bucs. You got Barrett, David, Gronk, Sue, McClendon, Joe Haig, Fournette, Ryan Smith, Antonio Brown, Nunes Roches, Ryan Griffin, my Canadian Eau Claire, Blaine Gabbert, Kevin Minter, McCoy, Shipley, Suckup, Cockrell, Barner, Mickens, Godwin. Just to give you guys some of the names that we have. And if we're
how many extensions has Levante had?
3.
That is a good point.
I believe he had his rookie contract and he had his second extension.
He would have had 3 at least because he's been here 9 years. He would have had 3.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. The way Levante played on Sunday, and the importance of him keeping Kelsey and playing side to side with, and because of the fact that you still have Devin White on a rookie contract for another 2 years, you've got to give Levante at least a 3-year and a nice chunk of change contract. But anything over 3 years, because Devin White's contract will be up then, and we're going to start having to figure out it's a numbers game. So I'd say you'd have to give Levante probably 3 years, $60 million.
I'd give Levante more respect than that. I'd give him a 5-year contract with backload it so that he's getting his money. And
I don't know if I'd backload it.
I'd load it up with bonus money too. Well, if they backload it, then he doesn't produce.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Backload it, but I'm saying give him that bonus up front, but don't prorate the bonus, because if he's gone in 3 or 4 years and we're eating $20 million in dead money, that would suck. But if we give him that bonus up front now while we have that option, boy, guys, this conversation today, we're still celebrating being Super Bowl 55 champions, but we're starting to realize Jason Light's got his work cut out for him, brothers.
But as far as Levante
we want to go for 2.
To me, that's not even in question. He's earned that contract.
Oh, without a doubt.
And he is still part of the best duo of linebackers in the football league.
Levante's already in the Ring of Honor. I don't care how you slice it, especially after the performance. He's in the ring. But even Derek Brooks, man, back when when his tank started to run out, basically the Bucs said, look, you can either retire or you can go somewhere else. Levante's nowhere near that. Levante's got a lot left in that gas tank, but they're going to have to figure that one out because we don't want to lose LD right now, especially with the way him and Devin are playing together.
Well, now here's
this is what I was. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. My quick question just being is if, because we know, and Johnny brought it up earlier, is 1 or 2 of these guys are not going to be on the roster next year just based off of money or just because they are going to get an offer somewhere else. Do we dangle that 32nd overall pick to somebody who might be looking to get into the first round for that last quarterback and start, loading up, say, maybe for the future, or use that to take a contract off of their roster and replace that with the person that we have missed?
Who's going to? It's hard to dangle a 32nd pick, man.
Yeah,
you're making me think, Andrew.
The only one I can think of right now would be, and he's definitely not worth a first rounder. We're talking there'd be other incentives in it. But you would go to the roster that has Ngakoue right now, say if we can't get a Shaq Barrett or something like that, and you dangle that first rounder and you say you give us Ngakoue and you give us a third rounder and you give us another conditional pick, just off the top of my head, you know what I mean?
I kind of expect the Bucs to trade out of that first round anyway, and try to gather a couple extra picks. But I don't think it's going to be a situational trade. I think it's just going to be somebody's going to offer them money for that, a trade for that 32nd pick, and pick up maybe a second or third rounder on that.
Hey, does anybody have Noah Spence's number still?
God bless him.
Isn't Alden Smith only on a year contract with Dallas, and hasn't he kind of smartened up a little bit?
Let me tell you something, and you'd want to get out of there because Dallas, I don't see them going anywhere fast.
Oh, no,
can we trust Alden Smith?
Oh,
I don't know that you can. I mean, listen, we're the home. Everybody knows that we're the home for Wayward Boys at this point, but I don't know if you know how many more of those can you bring in. And listen, you can feel it. You could feel it around, even at the Super Bowl parade. And I felt it from Leonard Fournette. I felt it from a couple of players like McCoy and things like that. I see what you guys are seeing as well. Listen, if it was a Peterson that's ready to end his career and he wants to come in, then I look at our running back room and I say, well, who's giving us the least this year that in comparison, if I wanted to put this player, it'd be McCoy. I'd say, okay, let's take McCoy out and let's bring in Peterson for the veteran minimum. If anybody went down, I've never seen anything out of Peterson from a drop-off. I mean, to me, him and Frank Gore have been some of the more staple players in their careers.
Deshaun, you would take Fournette out, really?
No. I'm not saying – I didn't say Fournette. I'm talking about I would say Shady. Yeah. I mean, right now, we go by production.
Shady's been put on the bench. Man.
Yeah. So he's been already on the bench for us several times this year. I don't anticipate him coming back. If we're bringing in an elder statesman and a veteran, then that elder statesman, to me, I could definitely, if Peterson's like, hey, he wants to come to Tampa, he's definitely someone. Sue, we don't know if he was going to retire. A lot of people have been talking about that. And I'm just going over the tea leaves right now with you guys to get your opinion on it. But like, if Sue's, I know his wife is having a baby. If she has the baby and it's hey, he wants to just spend some time at home. He's made his money already. Hey, I think we need a depth person to compensate. So when we start talking about depth, and Johnny, I'm waiting for your response on this. I want to hear all you guys' response on it. We start talking about depth. Gerald McCoy is a possibility. I'm not happy about it. I'm just saying he's someone that seems to be, he's following us. Dude, now I know ex-players follow their teams, good or bad, hoping, wishing well or wishing, bad. But Gerald's been following us, and kudos. And I'm talking about a rotational player. Can he come in and be a better Nacho? Can he come in and be a better Ledbetter? Can he come in and be a better O'Connor?
You're asking the wrong guy, because I don't like the way Gerald left the team. I don't like the way he said, I'm finally at home when he got to the Panthers and then ended up in Dallas. I don't like his whole I didn't like any of his whole attitude when he left here. That said, Antonio Brown is here, but Antonio Brown is sleeping on Brady's couch. How big is Brady's couch?
Well, listen, he's got that rental property for another 2 years anyway. So I think I would love to have AB back for a full season. I would love to have him back for a full season. I want Fournette back. And you could see Fournette asking, hey, I would love to come back, putting it out there, saying it. He said, I feel Fournette has found a home in Tampa. The offensive line, when you get 9-man box, it's Fournette's time. I felt like we took Ronald Jones, and I know Peter loves him, but dude, at that fourth down, and let's take nothing away from the defensive player, because I know we're saying, oh, Rojo didn't get the touch, but that defensive player, 100% his job, perfect rep, technique, and that was just what happened on that play. But had that been Fournette, I feel like he was falling forward into the end zone. That was a touchdown.
Yeah, I think Fournette would have had a touchdown there too. But that's I can't pound that rock. That's my only rock with Jones is, all right, he improved his blocking skills, but he's still not a good blocker. Okay. Mm-hmm. He has not improved in his catching ability at all.
He hasn't.
And you would think with Brady there and all the reps that they've gotten throughout the season that you would have seen some increase in his passing ability, and it just has not been there.
And I've also seen Keyshawn Vaughn, and let me tell you something. What I've seen of Keyshawn Vaughn, I saw a rookie mistake or two, but what I've seen of Keyshawn Vaughn is I've seen a player that looks like he's going to have a pretty solid career.
Oh, he's going to be great.
I'm not sure. I thought he looked like a deer in the headlights.
Well, he was a rookie, and he had a couple of rookie mistakes, but I mean, there was a couple of plays where he made some really smart moves, and that kid can hit the hole. So,
did he ever touch the field again after he let Brady get sacked?
Not that game. No. In fact, no.
I don't think he got on the field after that period.
Ray.
Yes.
One player in this draft, if the Buccaneers do keep pick number 32, that I am going to be on, and this is my first mock draft prediction of what the Bucs are going to take. I personally think if the Buccaneers want to have an elite offense and they know that they have, good to meh receiving backs, I think you start looking at that Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. He's going to be one of the better pass-catching running backs that's going to be coming out of college in the next few years. Yes. I think if the Buccaneers can take a shot at him, just like I think the Kansas City Chiefs are probably going to steal Tony from us at number 31. I think we start doing the same of what the Chiefs did, and you start loading back on some of this offensive talent. And that we're going to need some of those receiving backs to, once everybody starts figuring out halfway through the season next year of some of the intangibles and some of the weaknesses of our offense, is going to be a lot easier if Brady can just start throwing that ball right to a running back. And especially if that guy is going to be one of the next Darren Sproles coming out of college, guys. Watch out for that Kenneth Gainwell to be for
Andrew, I like it, but let me ask you guys this. Let me take it in a different direction. What did you guys think about the report this week that, Blaine Gabbert will be the next quarterback once Tom Brady decides to step aside? I heard a lot of groans.
Crickets. That's what you hear.
Come on. Yeah. I didn't say Josh Rosen. I said Blaine Gabbert.
I just can't see it.
No, if we're the Buccaneers, if we're the franchise, if we're the fan base right now and stuff like that, and we look like we're about to give Todd Bowles and Brian Leftwich the head coaching jobs, not necessarily together. It'll probably be Todd Bowles, but Leftwich is going to run that offense through and through. So why don't you just let Leftwich kind of start looking for his next quarterback? You know what I mean? Why don't you start letting him go to the college ranks and start picking out, a kid that you might like?
Well, that doesn't happen like that. The GM's going to listen to the offensive coordinator when it comes to that. Him and Christensen will get in there, and whoever the offensive coordinator is at the time, because I think Leftwich might be getting bought out by somebody. Not this year, but the following year.
Not this year. No, I also do agree. I think that if something's going to happen to the roster, I think if Todd Bowles does get the head coaching job, then yes, Leftwich will probably get picked off by somebody. But if
whoever the offensive coordinator will get with Jason Light about that, Jason Light and the head coach, and they'll discuss that. It's not. See, that's what a lot of people, defensive coaches, offensive coaches, that's not what makes a head coach. A head coach is the guy who has connections and can find those offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and staff to put together. That's why Bruce Arians is such a genius at being a head coach.
Listen to this out there. Let me jump in here real quick. A couple of comments. DZ Finesse says, hashtag We Dem Bucs out now on Apple Music, Spotify. If you guys haven't heard it out there, Bucs Report fans, you got to check that out. That's a great one. He also says, DC We Dem Bucs. Mike Williams says, David Gronkowski, Sue Suckup, our must re-sign free agent. Trade O.J. Howard. Gronk blocking and pass catching was outstanding during the Super Bowl. I also think AB may take less money than Godwin. See, that's not a true comparison, is it? I mean, just AB for Godwin's not a true trade. The two are playing two different types of style receivers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
although AB is a slot receiver, that's what Godwin is. So there is a lot of comparison between the two, yes.
It's true.
See, I think that if you look at it, if we're talking about it and we say, hey, the two big pieces that we're really talking about right now that for huge effect are Shaq Barrett and Godwin. So if we go, okay, we've already kind of went into Shaq Barrett, But if we say if we were to lose Godwin, because Godwin's not really
Don't
saying
say
anything.
if we're going to lose Godwin, because we are. I'm 75% sure of that.
So those guys, I feel like, listen, Godwin's done his work, just like Shaq Barrett. And if Shaq Barrett says, "Hey, I'm looking to break the bank," I can only think when anyone says that, I'm sorry if I'm naive to think that, hey, that means they want the best payday possible. Now, here's my issue with teams like we've went against. Listen, when it was the Atlanta Falcons in our division opportunity and their team was built, they didn't strike while the iron is hot. And you know what? It went away from it and they lost, everything that they had. And now they're in the doldrums. And we've been in the doldrums. We know what that is. We need to continue to strike while the iron is hot. And I just think that if Godwin is gone, Tyler Johnson is a little bit of the replacement. He's got the tutelage. He's been able to sit on here. And now, after this year, look at how many rookie players. I wish we would have had more, quality rookie players that were on staff that saw what it took to win a Super Bowl. And then now they're ready to put that type of work in because they saw it, right? Godwin can take that and now go anywhere else. He was already a good player, but he's had this type of quarterback, that type of quarterback over the years, coordinators, so on and so forth. But now with this entrance of Tom Brady in here, he knows what it takes to be top notch. He's seen Mike Evans get yelled at. Dude, he has to be in the locker room like, well, I'm trying to be like Mike, the best that I can be. Then he sees Mike get chewed out about, it's blitz and he doesn't run the quick route. That's important.
Yeah, Deshaun, I'm glad you make that
important
point because other than picking up that Lombardi trophy and winning Super Bowl 55, I think that the longest and most and the biggest or most important thing about this entire season so far, as you just alluded to, is this Vita Vea and Tristan Wirfs and Devin White, the experience that they've had to be on, because this season was crazy already, right? With the 5 primetime games and 3 Monday nights and Thursdays and Sundays, and Lord knows that schedule got crazy in between. So they've already been introduced to playing under the bright lights. And let's be honest, most of them came from college programs where they did so anyway. But the experience of playing through four postseason games and, of course, finishing under the bright lights that is the Super Bowl is going to be paying dividends for this Buccaneers team for at least the next half decade.
Exactly.
Half decade. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it easy. As far as the drafting has got to be the lines, dude. It's going to be the lines. I'm almost 100% that the guy from Washington is going to be our first draft pick, the edge rusher from Washington. Because Jason Light likes the Washington guys. Okay, he does.
Yeah.
He likes the Northeastern guys. That's where the scouting company goes deep out there. So I'm pretty sure it's either going to be that or the Texas. And I really don't see I like the Texas guy.
You're seeing Levi Onwuzurike.
Huh?
Levi Onwuzurike from Washington, the senior.
No. The other guy, Tay something.
Oh, Jason.
I already put out an article about him.
Yeah. I'll find it. I'll find it for you there.
All right. Running backs. I never would draft a running back in the first round in the first place. Okay, maybe Travis Etienne, but I wouldn't trust a rookie running back to take a first round spot when you can find so much talent in the second round and third round,
especially at running back.
Yes.
Joe Tyler, we're trying.
I mean, it's flashy. It's a lot flashier than drafting a guard or a tackle in the first round. But look what drafting a tackle has done for us.
Look, I'm with you, Johnny. I think we go with the lines. I don't know how you feel about that, Ray, but I think we've seen what the effect an offensive line pick does. And I think that we can trust when I look at Marpet, when I look at Kappa, when I look at Wirfs, I feel as if this scouting group, this scouting team under Jason Light knows how to pick what we need. And if we say, hey, look at those 3 guys that were picked up here and a Donovan Smith, to be honest with you, we really have to say, hey, out of that, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I know that's the That's the deal all the time. So, and Donovan Smith is showing up right now. But we talk about Wirfs, you talk about, Marpet, and you talk about Kappa. Marpet from a Division III school, no stars to talk about, just plays uber well in the Senior Bowl. And then Kappa, undrafted, pretty much, I believe he was undrafted with us. And he's just a bouncer, super tough guy, physical. I mean, you're talking about he's in the game with the arm broke. Bro, that's the guy that we want. So when you talk about paying those guys, I could see a Marpet and a Kappa, even though Marpet, got his money now, because he has an agent, and the agent's going to make sure that he gets paid. But Kappa's a dude that, hey, maybe you cut that deal with him early because you see what's there. And I would love to see that scouting group put some depth behind these starters, quality
Absolutely.
depth.
Hey, Deshaun, and the point you make is, and I'm going to wrap the show up here, guys, in a minute, but I want to make a point that you make is the importance of that line and linebackers. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to finish it borrowing from that Bill Belichick and that New England Patriots playbook, because all those years that the Patriots weren't drafting in the top 10, 15, they were drafting mostly in the low 20s or at 32, but they were always putting together those offensive lines. They were always finding those hustlers and those solid linemen and then those linebackers. And that's part of the winning formula, right? You're not picking those glamour. We're not picking Tristan Wirfs at number whatever. We're not picking OJ, or we're not drafting up in the top of the first round, but they're finding that line depth in the later rounds. And that's one thing. I think that's what you're going to see that Jason Light, who comes from the New England camp 100 years ago, is going to continue doing with this Buccaneers team.
Definitely.
Yeah, I believe so. People got to understand, this isn't a normal Bucs season. We're not rebuilding anymore, people. We're rebuilding.
No.
We're building our depth. We're the stronger our depth is, the longer run we have at this dynasty. I don't want to call it dynasty yet because I don't want to jinx it, but that's basically what we're looking at.
Call it what it is.
We're looking at.
Hey, guys, we're going to get out of here real quick, but first, let me go around the horn. And Deshaun, please tell everyone where we can find you.
Hey guys, I'm Deshaun Tisdale from Deshaun's 401. Currently, we're set to run the show on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Sometimes I know you guys may log on, not see me there. We're in some negotiations to switch that show around. So stay with me, stay focused. Deshaun's 401 going to bring a whole lot of activities and things like that for you guys in the near future. So keep your lookout on me.
Brother, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for joining us today, Deshaun. Love talking to you, brother. All right, go ahead, Mr. Hey, Mr. Andrew Faubert, you tell us where we're going to find North Sports guy with the big board.
Well, first I want to pay respect to Alex Kappa. Me and Deshaun were both wrong. He's actually a third-round pick. Like, I was way off. So first off, Alex Kappa, you deserve that. You can find me at northsportsdynasty.com. The website goes up live next Saturday. It's got content on your fantasy football dynasty. We got mock drafts, we got blogs, we got articles, we got live betting lines. We're going to be up and running here soon. And just want to, give a shout out to you, Johnny, and you, Ray, for having me on. I love the debates that we always have, guys. It's been a while and I appreciate it.
And Andrew,
love talking to you, Andrew.
I'm going to remind everybody out there that you go deep, and that big board goes deep. So if you guys are looking just not for those glamour, you're not looking for Mel Kiper in those top 10 or 15 picks, you get with Andrew in that big board, and he'll give you the rundown on he'll drive it down deep, brother. Thanks for joining us today.
Man, I wish that you had that bling. I wish you had the board going there, Ray.
Yeah.
Dude, the only reason I didn't have the board up today, boys, is because I literally just took the writings off. I just finished an article, so I have to take all the stuff off to start the new one. So, and there's some stuff I'm working on for the next stuff, so I don't need anybody seeing them just yet.
All right, brother Andrew. Take care, and thanks for joining us, brother.
I love you guys. Have a good one.
Love you, Andrew.
Later, Andrew.
All right, Mr. Johnny, let's finish off with a couple of these last comments here because there was a few of them coming from Bucs on YouTube. This draft should be about trenches and defense. All Brady needs is James White.
I don't think Brady needs James White. We got Leonard Fournette.
Heck yeah, we do. Mike Williams says, Pewter Report says drafting at 32. I don't know about that, but Christopher Cole says just continue building depth. 100% agree with you, Mr. Christopher Cole. Bucks Time 12 says, we all know Gabbert is not the heir apparent. He is the heir right now. Hey, let me tell you, though, because if Tom, I have said this, if Tom has a chin strap issue, the speaker in his helmet's not running, Gabbert's been with Arians long enough and has enough experience and is talented enough a quarterback. We saw him come in last year, and when he came in, he threw biscuits and he threw touchdowns to Gronkowski. So I don't want him to see him play. I want TB12 to be in there, but in a pinch, Gabbert, you could do a lot worse. Andrew Faubert says, look for Gainwell from Memphis. Yeah, that's what he was talking about. Chill Will says, did Stinney play better than what Kappa would have? I
do not believe so. I believe Stinney played extremely well.
Yes, he did. But we missed Kappa, bro. But Johnny, go ahead. I know you've been sharing. You got so many things going on, so many message boards. Go ahead and tell us about where we can find you too, brother.
It's called What's Happening Sports and Entertainment page. I try to keep it up there and real. It covers most everything, not just the Bucs. It covers every team. I got a good piece up there about the Jets right now. And here, Bucs Report, you see me all the time.
Brother, we went 2 hours today. How's that, huh? Thanks for joining me here from Studio Movie Grill.
That was great, wasn't it?
That was awesome getting Deshaun in there and getting Andrew in there, and it was great talking to you, JD. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for joining me.
You too, Ray. See you later, bud.
All right. See you soon, brother. Hey, guys. So, again, just want to thank the staff here at Studio Movie Grill. And once again, go to studiomoviegrill.com and enter the promo code WELCOMEBACKSMG for a chance to win those 4 tickets. Don't forget, you can rent an entire movie theater out for parties, bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, birthday parties. $200. Starting at $200, you rent an entire theater out. You got access to the full kitchen, the heart of the house, the bar behind me, everything else going on here. They had 400 people nearly last week for the Super Bowl party watching the Buccaneers beat those Kansas City Chiefs. And also don't forget that on Sundays, parents, especially if it's Valentine's Day, dads, moms, you want to take your wives out and give her a night off, not making her cook on Valentine's Day, or moms, you want to take the dads out, also not cooking on Valentine's Day. You come down here, you see a movie, and kids 12 and under eat free. Sounds like a great Valentine's Day for everybody. You guys know how I end this every time. Everyone needs to know that somebody cares. Today, why don't you be the one to let them know? Thanks for joining us here for a special Saturday afternoon or a Saturday little cup of Ray. We'll be coming at you here again soon. Until then, keep your bets low and your win side. That's Carry the Greek. I'll see you guys real soon.